Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Only One Bonus Point. We're your hosts. My name is RJ.
And I'm Law. And today we are joined by an elite second in Ffscout's career Hall of Fame, 13 consecutive tops, 36k overall ranks, finished 1.2k last year, and has an average rank in the last 3 years of 1,147. It's Tom Stephenson, everyone.
The FPL Badger.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
How's it going, man?
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
Really good.
Thanks for coming on, man. And Law, we forgot to mention as well, he's the winner of our last Only One Bonus Point competition. Yeah, he
reigning and defending champion.
Reigning and defending.
It was close. It was close at the end. I remember it was like a few points in it, but yeah, just about.
Yeah, I think you were jumping back in first and second for the last few weeks with somebody as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Close.
Can you just confirm for the listeners, the guys watching, that you got your first prize as well? You received it?
Yep, I got it. Yeah.
Good. You haven't spent it already, have you?
Yeah, all good.
That's a yes. So, Law, what are we going into today?
So today we're going to have questions with Tom, and then we are going to look at our transfers that we've done this week.
Yep.
Captaincy options, and what our teams look like before going into the next game week.
Yes. Okay. And then we might get a small little preview of the FPL Badgers team, or bus team, should we say, before it is fully decided. Law, you've hit the wildcard, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I hit the wildcard button almost straight after our last podcast.
Oh, you hit it straight away.
Yeah.
So at first you're contemplating. Tom, have you had any thoughts of when you're going to do your wildcard?
Yeah, a few thoughts, but haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Same.
So,
I'm in the same boat.
Tempting. Really tempting.
Especially with the arrivals of Lukaku, Ronaldo. It's got everyone pressing, right?
Yeah. So one of our first questions for you is, how did you get into FPL?
Well, I think like a lot of people, I was probably in like some kind of work league asked to join. And there was also one of my best mates, I was playing it and was always talking about it. And I was always well into my football, watched a lot of football, went and watched football, but was never playing FPL before.
Yeah.
And then, got into it. First couple of seasons, didn't really know what I was doing. But it kind of made sense with, all the stuff that I was watching anyway. And got really into it after a few years. And definitely the last kind of 5, 6, 7 years, I've been taking it quite seriously. So
So wait, you got 13 consecutive top finishes in the top 36k, right? And you said you only took it seriously in the last 6 and 7.
Well, I guess you kind of learn, don't you, the things that you're not meant to do, or that that gives you a better chance of finishing higher. So definitely the first few seasons were just a learning experience, and I'd make bad decisions, and I'd sometimes be like top of my mini league, and then wouldn't care so much. But
get a bit more maverick.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you start looking at the Hall of Fame, realizing I was quite high up in that, then there's a bit more of an incentive. So really, really go for it. But
that ties into my next question: is when did you realize that you were good at this game?
I mean, probably like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Realistically, so up until then, I think I was like, I'd occasionally look at the Hall of Fame, see that I was like in 200th place or something. It's like, that's not bad. That's not bad out of all these people. But I wouldn't think too much of it. And then I think I had one season where it managed to bump me up to like 30th or something. Wow. And then I got quite into it, quite excited that, who knows, if you have a bit of luck, then maybe you can go a bit higher. And then last few years, I seem to have got reasonably lucky with it all. So
just landed smack bang in second.
Yeah. But you definitely need. There's a good chunk of skill, I think, but a good chunk of luck that comes into it, because it doesn't matter what you think. There's a lot of 50-50 decisions, and you just got to hope that you get some of those right, and put you in a good position at the end of the season. But yeah, and then a lot of it obviously is just like knowing the things not to do as much as anything. Yeah, I kind of have a kind of list of things that I'll try to do right, but then when you're actually in the thick of it, it's quite hard to always follow those kind of rules that you have, and then you appreciate that from season to season things change as well. So something that worked for maybe 2 or 3 years, you might just have this slightly abnormal season, and this year it doesn't work. I don't know, like as an example, maybe before you were like, okay, I can go for cheap goalkeepers, that it's no point spending the big bucks on an expensive goalie. And then there'll be that 1 year where that expensive goalie just gets like 180, 190 points and just blows it all away. I mean, obviously last year we had the whole Martinez thing. It's just a bit crazy, really. I mean, he was absolutely amazing value at 4.5 at the start, wasn't he? And so you could think, do you pay that now? And just really hard.
We don't really like to say that name on this podcast. It hurts me dearly.
It brings us some sour emotions.
Right.
Unless you want to listen to a 10-minute rant.
No, there's no go. But I won't do it today. There's not going to be no rant. I promise. So, Tom, when you're going through what you're going to decide to do you prefer the eye test or do you prefer to look at stats?
Yeah. So, go back a number of years, I really concentrate very much on the eye test, trying to watch as much football as I could. But then I started to get a little bit into the stats, and a lot of the stats help you. Obviously, you can't see every game. So, you can look at, overall roughly what kind of positions players are taking up, how many shots they're taking, things like that. But then I did start last couple of years, probably the influence of Twitter. I've only been on Twitter like a year and a half.
Oh, really?
Probably, and that influence has probably led me to at least have knowledge and understand a little bit of XG, XA, the different models that are involved, all of that kind of stuff. And I have to say, it does definitely point you in the right direction. So I'm not going to say I just blindly follow the stats, because I think there's some things that maybe don't get picked up in the stats. But at the same time, I could appreciate if you say you're watching 2 games out of 10 games that weekend, then surely having a little bit of a look at the stats and seeing it's not gonna hurt, is it? It gives you some kind of indication of which players were having shots, having good chances, were involved in the game, what positions they took up, and so definitely the last couple of years, definitely spent a bit more time.
And match of the day isn't enough just to get a full take on the full game. Like, it's just the highlights of the best bits, so I get that 100%.
Exactly, yeah.
One thing I think me and Law suffer from is Twitter, because we're about the same as you, about a year and a half on Twitter, and you have an idea of what you want to do. You look, and all of a sudden you just, nope, can't do that. I need this guy, he's got this much XG, this XA, I need him in my team, and all of a sudden your whole team's changed.
I feel like Twitter as well, it feels like the whole world's doing something. Yes. Like, not just a few thousand people. Like, it literally feels like the whole world is making a certain move, and it kind of persuades you in a certain direction.
Yeah.
Like Buendia. I didn't bring him in, but you know what I mean? Like, everyone bought Buendia, and I was like, it's a bit scary, man.
So, Tom, where's your go-to places when you're looking at stats?
So I'm a member of Fantasy Football Scout. So often I'll just go on the stats tables on there, and then I'll read a lot of different things that are on Twitter, and obviously try and filter out as much as I can. But there's a lot of stuff that will come up, and some seems really useful. Yeah. Sometimes there's a bias behind it, let's be honest. Yeah. And so it's trying to understand that, and at least kind of taking the bits of information that you feels kind of useful to you and your team. And they're the main things. And then in terms of like pods that I listen to, obviously your own one, but I also listen to things like Black Box and The Wire, That Hall. There's a whole load of really good pods. Of
great
you can, I'm not mentioning half the names. The Double Up pod I like with Heisenberg. There's a whole load. The Green Arrow. That you could list probably 20 pods, and they're all pretty good.
There's a lot of good content out there.
Yeah. So it at least helps you, like on stuff where I haven't seen games, really helps to just have someone's viewpoint on the game, and other people that may have spent a bit more time looking at those particular games.
Yeah, it's true. So do you ever have a time in the week or game week where you decide, that's it, this is my team, I'm not looking at anything else, I've made my decision, or are you going right to the deadline?
Yeah, I do not have a certain time, and I definitely would not stick to that if I did. So, yeah, I would say I'm pretty indecisive in a way, which is kind of good in some ways because I won't just jump on things. I'll try and take in a lot of information, but it does mean sometimes I'm going right to the end. And it depends on the game week. It depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on what price rises and falls are happening. There's a whole host of kind of inputs that you need to take on board. But generally, I'm often at the last minute trying to work out, okay, I've got some options and I've thought about those options, but I don't know which one to go for. And there's often a lot of 50-50s where you've just got to try and make the right call. And I find that they can be quite tough. But obviously, if you know that there are if there's some kind of little transfer plan you've got going and you know players are moving in price and it's going to mess up that plan, then certainly at the start of the season where you might be looking to try and get on board things, try and build a bit of team value, that's the time I'd say where you try and maybe go a bit earlier. So I'd sometimes consider going at the start of the week. I'd hope obviously there's no more games to go, but try and
no more COVID season.
Exactly, and COVID was not easy on me last year.
1.2k sounds very
1.2k. Quite different.
Christmas I had 9 players for some game weeks. It wasn't particularly nice, but then you've got to kind of take it on board, and sometimes the players that you might have come off the bench and things, they'll just be 1 or 2 pointers anyway, so does it make that much difference? I try and have the kind of philosophy that they try and get your kind of core team as good as possible, and then try and have playing bench players. But it doesn't always matter.
If I remember correctly, some point last season you were in the million something around game week 15, and then you just had an incredible run towards the end.
Yeah, I think I normally start pretty bad. I think last year I was at about 3.5 million after about 3 or 4 game weeks, and then I wildcarded. And that, it didn't straight away change things, but it allowed me to get in some kind of core players like Calvert-Lewin, like Bruno Fernandes, and it helped me to build a bit of value as well. And so it meant I could got players before they rose massively. And so I ended up by about game week 10, when Man City started having a really good run, I was able to get a really solid team. So I had I think I had 3 premiums at the time. I had KDB and Salah. I had Son. I had Bruno. I had Grealish.
Sounding like 4 premiums to me.
DCL, Bamford. It was a pretty good team, and it kind of felt like other people would struggle to get to that team, and a lot of that was just because of that early wild card. And look, some years that kind of works, and some years it doesn't. This year I haven't gone early. I don't feel the need as much. But it always helps. I have to say, it helps to make a decisive move on the wild card when you're doing badly, because if you're doing badly, you're like, well, I've got nothing to lose. I need to make it. I need to do something. When this season, I've started pretty well. I think I'm in 20k or something, and I'm like, oh, I need to play it. Don't panic. Don't panic. Just play it easy. So, part of me is like, am I just doing that because I've had a good start? And when really maybe the right move is to wild card and get on those price rises.
Don't say that.
We'll see.
Don't say that. Lawyer's wild card. I don't want to hear that.
Law's on that route. That maybe
he needs to go down that route. It's the wrong route.
Maybe the good
Look at his smile. He's so excited right now. He's like, yeah, that's it. I've made the right decision.
He's loving his team. You see?
Yeah, he definitely is.
I've gone in with 2 free transfers, which I've already made already.
Wow.
Ronaldo.
You've done Ronaldo already. Nice.
Yes, I had to, man. See, I had to. I had to get him in, man.
It's understandable.
Actually, you know what? Let's go into our teams now. Actually, look, I'll start first because you got the wild card. So, the changes I made, I brought in Ronaldo and Torres for City. So my team at the moment is looking at Sanchez in goal against Brentford. I've got Alexander-Arnold against Leeds. I mean, he can't go anywhere in my team. I've got Ben White against Norwich. As Arsenal seem to have Partey coming back in full training, Gabriel back in full training.
Yep.
I think they might go back to a back three, which Ben White does look better in. We'll see what happens. Luke Shaw, Ben Rama, the man Salah, Saar against Wolves, Torres against Leicester, Antonio against Southampton. I still have Wilson, so I'm contemplating doing a -4. I'm not too sure yet. Again, that's up until deadline. I'll decide. And then captain Ronaldo against Newcastle at home at Old Trafford.
Sounds pretty good to me.
So my wildcard team is Sanchez in goal, White in defence with Marcel and Shaw. In midfield, I have Gray, Jota, Salah, and Saka. And up front, Antonio, Jimenez, and Ronaldo. The Jimenez and Gray double up. I've been tossing the turn between having Jimenez and Gray or DCL and Traore.
Okay.
So depends on which
one.
Kind of
different to what you showed me earlier. I think you had Traore and DCL at first.
Yeah. That's the one I showed you. And then my three on the bench at the minute is Torres, Christensen, and Livramento. I've got money in the bank as well, so I might upgrade Christensen to Rudiger just because he's nailed. I don't know.
You got?
How much have I got in the bank?
If you don't ask Lord these things, he keeps it to himself.
1.5 at the minute.
He's 0.5. 0.5, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's not bad at all. How do you feel about it? Are you ready to lock it in
happy,
or
but
deadline?
The thing with the wild card is it looks quite different to a lot of people on Twitters, whereas I've focused on the next few fixtures and I've got a team where I can easily move to tackle Chelsea's in game week 7, which is the thinking that I went for.
Yeah, I did find it strange that a lot of the wildcard teams I'm seeing, there's no Chelsea players. I'm just like, if game week 7 is coming up, a lot of people are going to wildcard in game week 7, and you don't have any Chelsea players in your team. Are you going to just use free transfers, or I'm not too sure how they're going to work that around.
I guess a lot of people will drop Ronaldo down to Lukaku, won't they?
I think so, yeah.
A million in the bank, and as long as they've got 2 free, then I guess you can upgrade a defender like a Shaw or someone. But yeah, you're right. You'd need to be planning those transfers, and that doesn't always work out perfectly.
Yeah, and an injury here or there, and you're ruined. So my original wildcard had Son, and even though it's up in the air whether he'll be fit or not, I figured I'm on a wildcard, so I didn't see any point in risking it. Yeah. So I just changed my team slightly just to sort that out.
So, guys, what are you guys thinking for captain options? Like, obviously, we know the main one that everyone's going to go for at the moment, CR7. But what other options are people looking at? Or what are you guys thinking?
Are there any other options? Newcastle? No. I'm not sure there are. I mean, Salah.
There's an argument for Salah against Leeds because they concede a lot of goals, isn't it? There's an argument for that, but yeah. I find it hard to go against Ronaldo, though.
Yeah. Everyone does. Yeah. Ronaldo back at United, back at Old Trafford for the first time. I mean, can you really go against him?
I always think about...
You got to have some cojones, man.
What will hurt me more? Like, if I go for Ronaldo and Salah gets a haul, or if I go for Salah and Ronaldo gets a haul, I think that would just annoy me more because I knew to go for Ronaldo.
Yeah. yeah.
So you just never know, though, do you? You could have like Bruno go and get a couple of goals.
Yeah, again. I know that's the thing.
With all the changes everyone's made, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, I know. A lot of people drop Bruno to get Ronaldo, so it's almost written in the stars that Bruno gets the haul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who knows if it comes to a penalty?
Oh yeah. Do you know what? I don't know. I feel like it's going to be like Portugal, but because Bruno Fernandes, he can't say United is his because he has to give up to Ronaldo, right? Even though Ronaldo's missed more penalties. It was like the whole, it's like the whole number 7 thing. I had no doubt he was taking it off Cavani. Like literally ripped the shirt off his back. I knew it. I knew it. It was always going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We're going to go into your thoughts, Tom, on transfer options going into this next game week. Where's your head at?
Right. Well, I currently have one free transfer.
Yeah.
I spent one of them probably was it maybe foolishly, I'm not sure, but I took out Barnes last week, even though before he played Norwich, I just had enough of him.
Yeah.
So where I am right now, I've got Danny Ings in my team, so he's in my Buzz team right now, and obviously he's got to move on. Great fixtures that he had, delivered some returns, but now he's got some pretty nasty games coming up.
For quite a while as well. Yeah.
Exactly. So he is going to have to go, and the obvious move here is that I take a 4-point hit and I bring in Cristiano Ronaldo to captain against Newcastle, which I think is extremely likely and would probably be the sensible move. And then I would downgrade, obviously, Bruno to somebody else. And I'm still a little bit unsure. So Torres is one option. So I'm a little bit concerned the fact that he started for Spain again tonight. That's now 3 international games he's played in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a rest. And the problem with someone like the problem with Man City is as soon as they get a rest, you're like, oh, he's bound to play the next game. Then, but at the back of your mind, you don't know whether he's basically been dropped and Pep doesn't like him. So then he doesn't play the next one.
3 international games.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, he's bound to play the next one. And so that's just going to continue. And before you know it, like 5 games have gone. The guy hasn't even got on the pitch. And you've been having like these rubbish subs come on. So that's my concern is, do I want to play that game? And if I don't, I'm thinking just bringing a player maybe like Sarr, who's got 3 or 4 good games that would take me up to game week 7. And while he doesn't have, maybe he's not going to score as many as, say, a Torres if he starts, at least he starts and he's the kind of main player for them and he's probably on penalties and they're great fixtures. So I'm kind of edging more that way. But we'll have to see. And then obviously the one other piece of another thought I have is Jota. So Jota, if Firmino's out, and we still haven't got the length of time, but it sounds like it's at least going to be a couple of games. Ordinarily, I'd be straight on to Jota because we know his stats are amazing. We know when he plays, he's a really good option. He'll pretty much play right up front. And so I'd really like him. I still have Tsimikas in my team.
That's exactly the problem I
had. So do I take another 4-point hit to get him out? And then I would probably prefer to just do Bruno to Jota. And that is what I'd probably like to do. So they're the 2 kind of options, but -8, I don't know. I'm almost like thinking if you want to take a -8.
Teeter on wildcard,
I could almost set it up. But then equally, I have some players in my team that I like for now, like Greenwood, that I think in 3 or 4 game weeks' time will be a bit of a problem. So I kind of want to keep them and then do it a little bit later. But a bit of a some things to think about. Let's put it like that.
I think
so. Oh, go on.
I think Jota definitely starts the next one because didn't that Brazilian FA said that all Brazilian players should isolate?
Yeah.
So they're gonna miss the first game at least.
Sounds like he's gonna be out anyway.
And
I do have Rafinha in my team as well. And so now it looks like he's gonna miss it. But I'm kind of okay with that. I've got Ffscout and I've got Ben White as well. So Ben White, I'm in an RM between Ben White and Rafinha. So it kind of makes that decision for me. I'll have if I don't do an extra hit though, I will have no bench. So if something happens, if some COVID incident happens, I'm in real trouble. So it makes it. It makes wildcarding seem
very
even
difficult.
more tempting.
So playing devil's advocate, because I had the same problem. The reason I didn't bring in Jota was because I still had Tsimikas in my team. If because of Ronaldo coming into the game, most people are taking a -4. Most. So if you take a -8, would it really be that much of a problem?
I think long term,
or is it just the fact you don't like it?
Yeah, I don't like hits. If I'm going to take hits early on is when I would take them. If I'm going to take them, I usually would like to get some kind of value out of it. Like I'm avoiding someone going down. I'm bringing in someone who's going up. Not really sure that's the case here. But you're right. Long term, if you look at the end of the season, is 8 points going to put you down too much? It's probably not. But yeah, it's still like right now you're aware that 8 points is probably like 300,000 places.
It's so big now, isn't it?
Yeah. Law's 15 points ahead of me. And that's 200,000 places.
Yeah.
So it's very fine margins.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm trying to decide if I take this -4 or not. And yeah, I'm in that same position because if I don't take it and it works out, that's a huge rise for me if Ronaldo does what he's supposed to do. But if it doesn't and everyone has an average week, then I can see a red arrow coming just because of that minus alone.
Yeah. Do either of you have any fears over Ronaldo starting?
No.
I don't know.
No,
I don't
even
now.
to be honest.
We've seen the guy in training for 3 days or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, the guy is played. There's no doubt about that. I do not see why, if a guy has trained for 4 or 5 days before the game, why he wouldn't start the game. And if it's a game to start on, I mean, he is going to be saying to the manager, "I am playing. This is Newcastle.
Exactly.
I am playing here. If I want to get off to a good start."
He's the new manager of Man United.
That's what I said. The United fans haven't realized he's the new manager. Like it's Ole's just gonna be watching. Did you see the images of Ronaldo and Ole talking?
Small boy,
he wasn't listening to a word single he's saying, man. You weren't listening to none of that.
Well, that was him saying, "Cristiano, I'm thinking about starting you on the bench." And he's like, "I don't think so."
Yeah, you could say that, but it's not happening. I'm starting, I'm taking penalties, and I'm choosing who's playing with me.
Yeah,
Sancho's playing.
Take a team vote, see what they want to
do. Pogba's playing. That's what he's going to be doing, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't last year. I didn't think very much of United, but this year the transfer window they've had. Oh, mate, it's incredible with Varane as well. Especially thinking that this game is really fast at the moment, and we saw how well he played.
Yeah.
So, and he had Traore running nuts at him. So.
Yeah, and Greenwood is just going to keep improving by the looks of it.
Yeah, honestly.
A proper finisher. I mean, it's going to be hard to know what they do because in a way, Ronaldo is maybe going to take time off Greenwood that he would have had. And like Cavani obviously is getting on, so Greenwood would have had a lot of opportunities up front.
Yeah.
Where now we're going to see him like in that midfield role, and he's kind of okay there. And he'll still get some goals because, let's be honest, his shooting is just really good anyway.
Incredible.
But if he was like right up front, I mean, I just think this guy, his finishing looks amazing.
Yeah,
wherever he
both
is.
feet as well.
Yeah, just brilliant, like power and accuracy, and you'd love to see him just get a run of games up front and see how many goals he'd score. And that's obviously not going to happen now for a year or two, basically. So.
I'm not too sure how much of a bridge Cavani burnt because, with the whole I'm going to play for my country no matter what. But given the number 7 back, maybe they said, okay, we squashed this whole beef, we're all good. So you never know who's going to start. You don't know what's going to happen with Sancho. You don't know what's happening with Martial. All we know is that Ronaldo's starting.
And you still got Rashford to come back as well.
And Rashford to come back,
And that's a danger to Greenwood then.
Yeah, that's where Greenwood gets knocked out. Yeah,
exactly. He's going to play some minutes, but he's going to be.
He won't be the same
guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, is there to both of you guys? Is there any team that you're what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to attack. So with the best fixtures, so like for example, Wolves, Watford, Arsenal. I know don't Arsenal as well. We've got good fixtures. Is there anyone that you're looking at trying to get them in?
So yeah, obviously on my wild card, I've got I've attacked Arsenal and Wolves good few fixtures over the next couple of weeks. With the idea of moving towards Chelsea game week 7. So yeah, Wolves and Arsenal. The hope for Wolves, my reasoning for going for Jimenez over Traore at this moment in time is because they've got better fixtures. Traore's not going to have as much space to run as he did in the last few games. So my thinking is Jimenez is like right up there in terms of shots in the box amongst strikers. So I just figured that's where they're going to get most of their opportunities. So that's why I've gone with Jimenez at the minute.
Yeah. They had a really good link up before as well. Traore crossing into the box, Jimenez on the end of it.
Yeah.
So maybe they could go back to that system. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, same thoughts really. I mean, Wolves, their fixture run is pretty amazing. I mean, if you look from game week 4 to 14, I mean, they've got like Watford, Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, Villa. The worst team they play, the hardest team, is basically Everton. So, I mean, it's like 10 games at least there that are really, really good. I'm not entirely sure on their players. Like Priori, it almost feels. I mean, he clearly cannot hit a barn door. He just runs through all the time. But so that's a problem. And I just wonder, like what you said, I really think that when they're playing against deep line teams, he may struggle a little bit more to create the chances. So yeah, I guess I'm thinking I really like to target them, but I'm not quite sure who with. Jimenez, I'd like to see him get back into scoring.
Yeah, and that's the fear. Yeah.
Especially like see if he powers a few headers in, you'd be like, okay, he's back, and you get right involved. But apart from that, I'm thinking like, do you just go for like a really boring pick like Cody or something at 4.5 and just play him like most of the time, and he'd probably get a few clean sheets, the odd bonus point, but it just feels a little bit uninspiring, really, given that he doesn't have much going forward. And then Arsenal, same kind of thing. I mean, I've got Ben White, and I'm thinking, he's pretty solid. Again, pretty good for some clean sheets, but again, he's not going to get much going forward. Nope. So, but you probably need a couple of these sorts of players. You need your 4.5s because otherwise you're not going to be able to stretch to everyone. So I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to pick a few of these, and why not do it with teams that have got good fixture runs?
Yeah. I like Lee's run after Liverpool, because after that they've got Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Southampton, Wolves, and Norwich. Yeah. Once Rafinha's back, it's only going to be one game week he misses, I'm assuming, and that'll be Liverpool. And then, once he's back, Bamford can be scoring again as well.
Exactly. Do you bring in Bamford? He's only 7.9 now. He seems quite good value, doesn't he? Like, if they are scoring as not, the number of goals that they were last season, as attacking as they were, then he should really be involved in a lot of stuff. And he's on penalties, I think, as well, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
And if they get battered by Liverpool, I'm sure he's going to go down to 7.8. So, there's some options out there. But again, at least there is some sort of normality this season. The last 2 seasons have been a bit off, but we can still get isolations. We can still get teams postponing games and triple game week somewhere. I'm not looking forward to it.
No, it was hard work last year, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Especially
that second wild card. It was really hard to know when to play it because you couldn't really plan for what was going to come.
Yeah, but Tom, you finished 1,200 in the world. Okay. Out of 8 million. 8 million, yeah. Out of 8 million, guys. But Tom, I would like to thank you so much for coming down and for your continuous support with the podcast. And Law, we've got to pass it on to everybody else. Thank you for listening and tuning in, clicking subscribe and following on the YouTube as well, since we finally brought our faces out. Cuz, we're coming back in next week for game week 5 with our results.
Yes, we
and some prizes, because the competition is about to begin. Yeah, so get your names in for the last deadline, game week 5. And there's an extra special prize in there, which we'll reveal next week. It's a PS5. But but yeah, you know how it goes. Tom, just give everybody your socials again.
Yeah, so but basically on Twitter, so Badgers9, so FPL_Badgers9 is where I am. Yep.
Where did the Badger come from? I didn't even ask.
It was like a university football team, basically.
Ah, okay.
20 years ago. So, yep.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Tom. Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks, guys.
No problem. We have been your hosts. I'm Law.
And my name's RJ.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, that was late, cuz. What happened with that one?
Very late. I didn't know if you were going to say it.
Well, Tom was alright. He was just going to watch it happen. So, thanks for having us, son. We'll catch you next time, yeah?
No problem.
And I'm going to beat you this year. I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
Cut it.
Cut it off there.